Let's get these calls rolling with Rob in Bel Air. Good morning, Rob.
Hey, good morning, guys. The game last night, Detroit. Detroit came in with a hurt offensive line. I know Jared Goff is a different quarterback than Lamar, and I know there's been moments with Detroit. But I love the rhythm that they with their passing game. They had got Gibbs on the outside to almost be like a wide receiver, and I noticed that the quick slants and the crossing patterns were really, really effective. And with the Ravens, what I see is absolutely no rhythm in that offense, none. I mean, you'll run, like you said, Vinny, they'll run the ball sometimes and only gain 1 yard or be 2nd and 10 behind the sticks. And that's been my concern about the Ravens offense. I want to get to Bateman. You just mentioned you could do a whole segment, on a whole show on Bateman. Bateman and Flowers were number 1 picks for the Ravens, number 1. You might as well put a 3rd rounder or a 4th rounder out there. Is Bateman that bad? Because last year, yes, he was productive when Lamar needed him. But you've always said this, Vinny, that I've always agreed with. Sometimes these wide receivers become disinterested, and you've seen that with Likely. How about a few screenplays or short passes just to get everything going? You watch the all 22. Are the routes that long? Are they going like 20 yards down the field? Because right now Lamar will go back, and sometimes you're like, okay, Lamar, throw it, and then he'll hold on to the ball and get sacked. I want to get your opinion on how you get this offense in a rhythm. Everybody can say run, 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 run. Yeah, that's great. Steelers are going to be up against, they're going to do everything they can to not let what happened with Buffalo. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. But what are you going to do in between that? Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
You too, Ryan.
Yeah,
or Rob, sorry.
I think a lot of the routes that Bateman runs, like he's running the clear out routes for the deep ends and those types of things. I can see this week some quick hitches and those kind of things because the corners play off and they'll play soft. So, sometimes they'll like to come up and get in your face, but they'll back off. So getting some quick stuff out there may be, a good idea. Because the thing about it is Bateman's a really good route runner. He can create separation. Zay is a good route runner. When your protection is not great, you got to win quick. That's the thing. Because what's happening is if you're not winning quick, and you're going 18-20, and Lamar, he sees color, in front of him, and then he's got to pull it down, and, so you can't stay with it. So the passing game will be much better if we have consistency in the offensive line. I mean, everything always goes back to the O-line with this football team. And that's what it is. Because what are you going to do? You're going to max protect all the time and send out 2 guys? No, because they're going to be dropping 6 or 7, So you got to spread them out and hopefully, watching the pass game and all, it's like pulling teeth. I mean, it just, kind of like we just heard, that there's no rhythm to it. There's no rhythm.
Right, and I can get on Bateman, and we have in the past, and I'm sure we will down the road. I mean, I agree on some of the attitude stuff, the disinterest at times. There was that moment earlier this year where he appeared to give up on a sideline route, but the ball's just not coming his way. So to be fair to him, 32 targets here in 10 games this year after last year that, we call it a bust-out season. It was a bust-out season.
Mm-hmm.
Not in terms of yardage, but how about touchdowns? 9 last year, only 2 this year. So, all right, if you're not going to be a part of the offense in volume like that, you're not going to have the ball coming your way very often. He's not even really making a difference in the red zone either. It just seems like he's a forgotten man here.
Well, the biggest problem is, too, Nolan, is that, they're 23rd in scoring touchdowns right now. They only have 16. Looper is kicking way too many field goals. That's the biggest problem is last year, those field goals, they were touchdowns, and they were Bateman, and they were Andrews, and they were all those guys, catching touchdown passes.
He still is a chain mover. 10 of his 16 receptions this year for first downs, but I don't know. We're kind of grasping
I mean,
at
I can
straws
see
here.
slant routes. Bates a great slant route runner, so, and he's got some size to him. He can win that way. The outcuts he can win with, hitch routes, those type of thing, and the deep ball. But you got to have time to throw the deep ball. I mean, everybody says, well, Pittsburgh doesn't throw it deep. And what do we say about them? Their O-line sucks. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to throw deep if you're on your back.
We're taking your calls. We're taking your predictions for Ravens versus Steelers this Sunday. Let's keep it going with Ryan in Baltimore. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Happy Friday.
Same
Friday.
to you, man.
Listen, Nolan, it's been great having you this week. Usually I get to talk to you before, but I never got a chance to talk to you about Survivor Series, that mess.
We don't have enough time today. I might get to that a little later, but yeah.
That'll be in the 12 o'clock hour. We'll have that segment going. But talking about the Ravens, I'm getting a little frustrated with some Ravens fans right now because, with Lamar having these nagging injuries that have been talked about by, the coach and just visibly in his playing style, and he seems to be playing through it. I feel like Lamar is damned if you do, damned if you don't. We had this whole argument a few years ago with his knee injury. Is he actually hurt? Is he actually hurt? Now he's actually trying to push through and play, and people are ridiculing him, saying, oh, well, I'd rather have Huntley at 100% than Lamar at 60 or 70%. So, I mean, I just feel like it's real frustrating for as a fan that enjoys watching Lamar, but also as a fan that, wants to support this team. Some fans are just flip-flopping whichever opinion they see fit. So I want to hear your opinion on that. But for my prediction, I'm thinking one team's going to win and one team's going to lose. And that's all I got. And you guys have a great weekend and stay safe.
You too. Thanks.
The question I would ask Lamar, Nolan, because he's had so many lower body injuries, how did you train in the offseason? Did you train differently than you trained the year before? Did you work on your lower body? Because we've had hammy, knee, ankles. We've had basically his whole lower body. Something has gone wrong. Did you train? Did you lift enough with your lower body? That would be that's what I would check with.
I mean, I think this is all just a product of us not knowing the real details.
Right.
We only see the vague designation of ankle. I mean, hamstring, that's a little more easier to read if you can understand that, why that would limit you. But, I mean, what kind of ankle injury is it? Is it a sprain? Is it something? I mean, there's so many different factors here. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's an 8-year veteran at this point. I think he should know how to take care of himself. I do think Ryan's right to some extent. I mean, there has been some questions in the past of Lamar's kind of want to when things get a little tough in the injury department, but he's been playing through it this year. You could argue to how detrimental it is to the team, but absolutely, he's going to be out there. He gives you the best shot over Huntley.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're taking Lamar 10 out of 10 times,
right?
Just because the threat. The biggest problem, too, Nolan, is when he's had all these little nicks and stuff, and the opponent's watching him on film, he's not a threat running. Mm-hmm. So that's one less, because that's, as a defensive coordinator, you're like, okay, what are we going to do to stop Lamar from running? How do we do that? And then what do we got to do to also stop Henry from running? Now, if you eliminate the Lamar part, then you put 8 in the box, and then you've stopped Henry. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a lot of issues they got too.
And up until the recent accuracy concerns here, I mean, that was the biggest negative to me, was just the trickle-down effect, that it made the offense less creative in a way. There's less, not reading the edge rusher at all, where we're not doing any of that. I mean, I still maintain that, run straightaway runs here. I mean, you don't have to get that fancy with it. Put the ball in Henry and Keaton Mitchell's hands. You can be just fine. But
if the old line will put a body on a body.
Yeah. I know.
There's always an if. I mean, it's a good thought, Nolan. Yeah. We want to give it to Henry, but hell, give it to Henry and we're 2nd and 10.
So what if Rob mentioned the screens?
Yes.
And that's where one, or even end arounds with Zay Flowers, there's a little creativity that you can get a little speed in the mix. You can get on the outside.
They did it to Mitchell. Remember? Mm-hmm. They did the jet sweep with Keaton.
Right. I mean, you can't run that 7 times a game, but, sprinkle it in a little bit more.
And then they ran the little pitch, which I like, that pitch they ran to Keaton, because then because the thing is Watt likes to come down hard, and that's where in the playoff game they took advantage of Watt because, Lamar would read it. He comes down. He's got it in Henry's belly. Watt comes down. He pulls and he runs. And I don't know if he's going to do that. My question would be, is he healthier, Nolan, than he was for Cincinnati? Because he showed a little burst running the ball with Cincy.
That's the big if. Yeah. And we'll see today. I mean, obviously, he's got to be out there today. I would think he's got to be out there today.
Well, when you look at Pittsburgh's injury report, they're all back.
Yeah. Good point.
Queen was back. Watt was back. All those guys, they're playing. Whether they're banged up. I mean, Watt's toe's not going away. And, Queen's glute, I'm sure he's going to still feel the glute. So, yeah, I mean, they're not 100%, but it's Steeler week.
Right.